Okay, so today we're going to kind of shift gears a little bit and dive into something pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah.
We're looking at learning English, but not in the typical way, you know?
Right.
No textbooks, no grammar drills, none of that.
Yeah.
Instead, we're going to hear from two actual learners, Anna and Noah, and they have this great podcast called We Speak English, but not perfectly.
I love that title.
Yeah.
It's so true, right?
So true. And I think it's something that a lot of people can relate to.
Absolutely.
Whether you're learning English yourself or just curious about, you know, the process of language acquisition. We're going to pull some really insightful moments from their introductory episode and kind of try to understand what it's really like to learn this language.
Absolutely. And I think what's so great about their podcast is it's just so relatable.
Yeah.
They're so honest about the ups and downs, the challenges, and, you know, those little victories you experience along the way.
Totally. And that's really what we're aiming for in this deep dive. You know, we want to go beyond just telling their stories.
Yeah.
We want to extract some kind of universal truths about what it means to become a confident English speaker.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest takeaways is that progress in communication matters so much more than achieving some kind of like impossible perfection.
Right. It's about getting your message across.
Exactly.
Not about sounding like a, you know, textbook.
Exactly.
So let's jump right in.
Okay, let's do it.
I think a perfect place to start is with those early embarrassing moments we all have. You know, when you first realize that English
Well, yeah,
maybe isn't as easy as you thought.
absolutely.
Anna and Noah share some pretty memorable stories about these early blunders.
Oh, they do.
So Anna, she talks about this time she was in class.
Okay.
And she wanted to say that she was feeling bored, but instead she blurted out, "I'm boring."
No.
I know. Can you imagine the reaction in the classroom?
Oh, gosh. I can only imagine everyone was probably looking at her like,
I know, right?
it's a classic mix-up.
It is, and it just shows how such a tiny difference in the language, like
Right.
ed versus ing,
Yeah.
can make a huge difference in meaning.
Exactly. One describes how you feel,
Yeah.
and the other one describes like you're making other people feel.
Totally. So you're saying you're dull
Right.
if you say, "I'm boring."
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a subtle but really important distinction that learners need to get.
I wonder if this particular grammar rule is harder for people from certain language backgrounds.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm sure it depends on the structure of your native language.
Yeah, if your language doesn't really emphasize verb conjugations or those adjectival endings,
Right.
it might be a bigger hurdle to overcome.
Makes sense. It shows how our first language can both help us and sometimes kind of trip us up when we're learning a new one.
Yeah, totally. Now, Noah's early experience is also pretty memorable,
Yeah.
but a little more on the awkward side.
All right.
He was trying to compliment someone's smile,
Okay.
but what came out was, "You have a big mouth."
Oh, no, that's rough.
I know, and he was mortified at the time.
I bet.
But looking back, he sees it as a valuable lesson
Yeah,
about the importance of vocabulary and really choosing your words carefully.
absolutely. It's not just about being understood, but also about understanding those subtle social cues
Yeah.
and how your words can affect other people.
Like in that case, the word big had all these, you know, negative implications that he didn't intend.
Right, exactly. Like you're being rude or insensitive.
Totally. So it's not just about memorizing words, it's about understanding their nuances.
Absolutely, their connotations,
Yeah,
the
that's-
feelings they evoke.
Exactly. And both of these stories really resonated with me because I think
Yeah.
most people who've learned a language
Yeah.
have similar moments they can look back on.
Definitely. I've definitely had my fair share.
I know, me too. It's like a mix of embarrassment and amusement.
Totally. But you know what they say? You learn from your mistakes.
You do. And as Anna and Noah point out, these aren't just funny anecdotes. They're actually really important learning opportunities.
Exactly. They stick with you and help you avoid making the same mistake again.
Which brings us to a really important point that Anna and Noah discuss.
Okay.
This whole idea of perfect English.
Right. This myth of perfect English.
Yeah, it's something they both feel very strongly about.
Absolutely.
And they're quick to point out that even native English speakers make mistakes all the time.
All the time.
I mean, think about how often you see people mixing up your and your.
Oh my gosh, it's everywhere online especially.
Right, it's everywhere, and it just goes to show that language is constantly changing and evolving.
Yeah.
And even those who've spoken it their whole lives aren't immune to errors.
Nobody's perfect.
No one is perfect.
But that's okay.
And I love Anna and Noah's take on this because they're basically saying
Yeah.
the point of language is to communicate and to be understood,
Exactly.
not to achieve some kind of like unattainable level of perfection.
Right. If you can get your message across,
Yeah.
that's what matters.
Yeah. Totally. And they share another funny story about Anna accidentally saying wifey instead of wife.
Oh, that's cute.
I know, right? But it highlights this idea that when you speak with confidence and maybe a little bit of humor,
Yeah.
even your mistakes can be charming.
Totally. People are usually more understanding if you just own it and keep going.
Exactly. It's about not letting the fear of making mistakes hold you back from communicating.
Exactly.
But of course, even with a positive attitude, Anna and Noah are very honest about the fact that language learning, it's an ongoing journey. There are always challenges. And some things just seem to stick with you.
They do.
For example, Anna mentions that she still struggles with using since and for correctly.
Oh, yeah, that's a tricky one.
It is. She gives the example, I've been here since 2 hours.
Right, which should be for 2 hours.
Exactly. Those prepositions and time-related words can be really tricky.
They can be. And Noah admits that he still sometimes mixes up bring and take.
Oh.
He'll say things like, can you take this to me? When he means bring it to me.
I do that too sometimes.
It's so easy to do. Those little words can be so confusing.
They really can. And then they both talk about their shared frustration with English prepositions in general.
Oh, the prepositions.
In, on, at.
So many prepositions.
And all their variations.
I love how Noah describes prepositions as like jealous friends.
That's a great analogy.
Always getting in the way.
They do feel like that sometimes.
They do. It's like they're competing for your attention.
And the rules can seem so random.
Absolutely. Like, why is it on Monday, but in the morning?
It doesn't always make sense.
It doesn't.
But in the midst of these struggles, Anna and Noah really highlight the importance of learning together.
Oh, yeah. They talk about how much their friendship has helped them.
Yeah, they're able to correct each other in a supportive way.
Exactly. It's not about criticism.
Yeah.
It's about helping each other improve.
And they really emphasize the importance of finding humor in those mistakes. Remember Anna's story about saying going to the chicken instead of kitchen?
Oh, my gosh. Yes. That's a good one.
Can you imagine telling someone you're going to hang out with the poultry?
It's hilarious, and it makes the learning process so much more enjoyable.
It does. And as Noah points out, having a language buddy, someone you can practice with and make mistakes with in a safe environment, it can really boost your confidence and help you make progress. So for those of you listening who are maybe just starting out on your English learning journey, what kind of practical advice do Anna and Noah offer?
Well, Noah's advice is very straightforward.
Okay.
He says, don't wait for perfection.
Yeah.
Just start speaking.
Yeah.
Now, even if it's just one sentence a day.
That's great advice.
It is, because taking that first step can be the hardest.
It can be.
But once you start building that habit, even if it's small, it makes a huge difference.
Totally. And Anna adds to that by suggesting that you record yourself speaking.
Ooh, that's a good tip.
Yeah, and practice aloud, even if it's just talking to yourself or leaving voice messages for friends.
Right. It's all about getting comfortable with hearing your own voice in English.
Exactly. And building that confidence.
Absolutely.
Do you think hearing yourself speak in a new language gives you a different kind of feedback?
I think so, because you can pick up on things you might not notice otherwise.
Like what?
Like maybe you're stumbling over certain words.
Yeah.
Or your intonation sounds a little odd.
Right.
It's like having another pair of ears.
And of course, Anna and Noah both recommend immersing yourself in real conversations.
Yeah.
Like by listening to their podcasts.
Exactly. It's about hearing how people actually talk. With all the pauses and filler words and, yes, even the mistakes.
And this leads perfectly into their discussion about the difference between textbook English and real-world English.
Yes. That gap between what you learn in the classroom and how people actually speak out in the world.
Exactly. And they make a really important point that while textbooks are great for learning the basics, they don't always reflect the nuances of everyday speech.
Right. They can't teach you everything.
They can't. And Anna and Noah give some great examples of common phrases that you probably wouldn't find in a textbook.
Like what?
Things like, what's up? Or you good?
Oh, yeah. Classic phrases.
I love how Noah talks about his initial confusion with you good.
I bet he was like, wait, are they asking if I need help or if I'm about to start a fight?
I know, right? It's so relatable.
It is. And it just shows how relying solely on textbook knowledge can lead to misunderstandings.
Totally. And Anna's example of I'm down.
Oh, yeah. That one can be tricky.
It can, because it can mean I'm sad or it can mean I'm in.
Right, like I'm willing to participate.
Exactly. So context is everything.
It really is.
Yep.
And that's why Anna and Noah specifically try to make their podcasts sound natural.
Yeah.
Like a real conversation.
Yep.
They want to give listeners that authentic exposure to how English is actually spoken.
Absolutely. And speaking of real-world English,
Okay.
we can't forget about idioms.
Oh, idiom.
Those expressions that don't always mean what they literally say.
Right. You can know all the individual words.
Yeah.
But still have no idea what the phrase means.
Exactly.
Like break a leg.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine someone saying that to you before a presentation.
Before a big performance.
It's like, are they wishing me bad luck?
Yeah, it's not very intuitive.
Not at all. And Anna talks about how she used to think, hit the books.
Yeah.
Man, literally hitting your books.
I can see why.
It makes sense if you think about it.
It does.
But of course it means to study.
Right.
And they mention other common idioms like piece of cake or spill the tea.
Yeah, those are great examples.
And beat around the bush.
Oh, yeah, that one's a classic.
It is. And it's these kinds of expressions that make English so colorful and interesting.
They do, but they can also be really challenging for learners.
They can, because you have to learn their figurative meanings.
Yeah.
Not just their literal ones.
And to make these concepts more concrete, Anna and Noah actually include a short role play in their episode.
Oh, it's fun.
It is, they pretend to be friends meeting in a cafe.
Okay.
And what's interesting is that the dialogue is really simple. It's just focused on that natural flow of conversation.
Yeah.
The kind of everyday interactions that learners might have.
Right.
Like, long time no see. How have you been?
Yeah.
Just super busy with work. What about you?
It's those simple phrases that we use all the time.
Exactly. And their suggestion is for listeners to practice by imagining similar conversations with their own friends.
That's such a good idea.
It is. It takes the pressure off of having to be perfect.
Certainly.
And it just encourages you to practice speaking.
Absolutely.
And finally, they wrap up their first episode with a really cool challenge.
Oh, yeah. I love this one.
The 1 word a day challenge.
Tell me about it.
So it's pretty straightforward. The idea is to learn one new English word every day.
Okay.
Learn how to pronounce it, understand its meaning,
Right.
and try to use it in a sentence
Out loud.
out loud at least once.
I love that.
And what's so great about this is that it's so manageable.
It is. You're just focusing on one word.
Yeah, 1 word a day.
But over time, it adds up.
Exactly. So if you do this every day for a year,
You'll know 365 new words.
that's a huge vocabulary boost.
That's incredible.
And they encourage listeners to share their word of the day on Instagram.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, it's a great way to create a sense of community.
Yeah, and keep each other motivated.
Exactly. So taking a step back from all of this, what are some of the key takeaways from Anna and Noah's experiences?
Well, I think one of the biggest takeaways is that making mistakes is totally normal.
Yeah.
And actually essential for learning.
Totally. It's how we grow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And another key takeaway is that the goal of language learning is to communicate,
Yeah.
to connect with others.
Not to sound perfect.
Absolutely.
And finally, I think Anna and Noah show us the power of supportive learning environments.
Yes. And practical learning strategies.
Like the 1 word a day challenge.
Exactly.
And their overall message is so empowering.
It is. They're basically saying it's okay to speak English imperfectly.
Yeah.
And that's such a liberating message.
It is, because it takes the pressure off.
Right.
And it allows you to focus on the joy of learning.
Exactly.
So I want to leave you with a thought today.
Okay.
Based on everything we've talked about, think about one small step you can take today.
In your own learning journey.
Yeah.
Maybe it's trying to use a new word.
Or finding a language buddy. Or just being a little kinder to yourself.
Absolutely.
When you make a mistake.
We all make mistakes.
We do.
Remember, language learning is a journey.
Yeah.
It's not a race to perfection.
Enjoy the process.
Absolutely.
Embrace the challenges.
And celebrate the victories.
Yes, because every step you take
brings you closer to fluency.
That's it for today's deep dive.
Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time.